Hello friends, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Michelle Fondin and I'm the author of the new book, Twin Flame Romance, The Journey to Unconditional Love, available now in paperback, Kindle, and Audible books. So go ahead and pick up your copy. And if you're currently reading Twin Flame Romance and would like to leave a review on Amazon, please do. It's well appreciated. Once that review is posted, email me at michellefondinauthor@gmail.com and I will give you a promotional copy of Chakra Healing for Vibrant Energy, exploring your 7 energy centers with mindfulness, yoga, and Ayurveda on Audible. Go ahead and do that. And you can even, once you have this book, please leave a review for this book as well. Welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome. Please subscribe below. Hit the bell for notifications of my new videos and give the video a thumbs up. Welcome, Twin Flames. It's been a while. I know if you're watching this on the day that it's posted. It's been close to a week since I last posted. I posted my playlist on Twin Flame readings, predictions with your astrological sign for the year 2020. If you have not yet checked it out for you and for your Twin Flame, go ahead to that playlist and check out those readings. I do readings for each of the astrological signs. We focus on all 4 quarters of 2020 for you and your Twin Flame. It's pretty phenomenal the way it actually turned out, so I'm really proud of that. Excuse my voice today. I am getting over a bit of a cold. If you hear me coughing or sniffling, or I hope it's edited out by then, or just my voice sounds a little bit raspy, that is the reason, Twin Flames. Sorry. Today we are talking about Twin Flames, 5 signs that you may still be caught up in ego and could be keeping your twin away. Let's talk a little bit about ego. I'm sure you've viewed my videos in the past, and I'm sure you've read my book or viewed other videos on Twin Flames. There is a lot of talk of the ego death. Now, I don't really like to describe what happens with the ego on the Twin Flame journey or a spiritual journey in general as an ego death. I really don't, because what I was taught in Vedic philosophy, Vedanta, which is what I've been teaching and preaching for the past 11 years, is that the ego is something to be respected, recognized, and transcended, so that you, as the person who is the spirit embodied in this human body, in this human form, can be the master of the ego and not the ego being the master of your higher self or spiritual self. So it's not that your ego is dying. I like to look at it as your ego is becoming subservient to your higher self. So it's just taking a lower spot or a lower place. Therefore, these 5 signs are really indicators that the ego is still ruling the roost, if you will. Now, it's easy, especially if the ego is ruling the roost, Twin Flames, to get offended when you not only see a title like this title in the video, or when you hear the material about the ego that is about to be represented. Because the ego, the voice of the ego, is to obviously get offended. Therefore, when you view something like this that is dealing with how to make the ego subservient to your higher spiritual self, well, you need to look at the video in a perspective. You need to look at the perspective of, I'm looking at this through the lenses of my higher self, not through the lenses of my ego. And when you look at it through the lenses of your higher self, then you're not going to get offended as easily. Does that make sense, Twin Flames? We are going to directly move into the 5 signs that you are still caught up in ego, or that you may be still caught up in ego, because maybe not all the 5 signs apply to you. Maybe only 1 apply to you, or maybe 3. But it's just a good indicator as to where you are at on your own spiritual growth, your personal growth, and your spiritual journey. So with no further ado, let's go to sign number 1. You try to control others, or in other words, you try to get everyone to run your race. Now, you might be thinking, I don't try to control others. You've got to be kidding me. I am not a controlling person. That is left for my mother or my mother-in-law or my sister or my best friend. Those are the people in my life that are controlling, but I most certainly not am controlling. Anytime, twin flame, you try to get somebody else to run your race, that is controlling. Here's the reason. Everybody has their own individual races to run. In other words, everyone has their individual life path and purpose and a specific way in which they must be on the right life path and purpose. God has given them a set of lessons to learn, karmic relationships to regulate, karmic lessons to fulfill, and you can't possibly know what lessons those people need to learn. Now, in this video, we're talking specifically about you and your twin flame, just in general. But what you need to know, twin flame, is that if you are trying to not only control your twin flame, but if you're trying to control other people in your life as well, then your ego really is still ruling the roost. Now, how can you tell, am I really trying to control others? Well, you're trying to control others when you think that your life path is the more appropriate path or the better path. Or you better get on my path because my path is the right path. It's the more righteous path, the more moral path, the more efficient path, if you will. And you're really trying to tug at the people in your life to get them to see things the way you see things. You're trying to get them to listen to you, to understand the voice of reason, to try to do things more efficiently or effectively, or try to do things in the way that you do things, twin flame. Those are all controlling behaviors. Now, while your life path may very well be a very good life path, it doesn't necessarily mean that it is the most efficient path for another person, especially your twin flame. Now, yes, you and your twin flame do share a soul contract and therefore a life path. But until you guys are together into reunion, for the long haul, your life paths may very much differ because you have different lessons to learn until you get to that point of reunion. Now, pushing or pulling or prodding your twin flame onto your life path just because it's better, according to you and your ego, does not make it efficient, or it doesn't make it productive for your twin flame, because if you deter them from their own lessons that they need to learn on their life path just because you think that yours is better, then what might happen if you are a good persuader, or if your ego self is a very good persuader, twin flame, is they may very well join you on your life path for a short moment, but life is going to redirect them back to their life path because they still have not learned the lessons that they need to learn in order to come together with you in fulfillment to your soul contract, which is in effect your life path afterward together. Therefore, if you have this controlling behavior, then that is something that you need to work on and just run your own race. Don't try to tell others how to live their lives or live their race. Now, of course, I'm sure you can think of instances during which other people in your life have tried to control you or get you on their life path. So I'm sure if you think about the reciprocity of that process, then you can most certainly understand that being controlled by somebody else doesn't feel good, nor is it typically in your highest good. If that is your issue, then you can work on that to rectify it. Number 2, you make attempts at correcting others. Yes, correcting others, criticizing, making helpful suggestions, or giving advice that is not seeked is a behavior of the ego. Again, you are looking at your life through your own lenses. You are looking at your life through the lenses of your own life path. Now, who is to say that if someone has a methodology or a way to go about a certain action or do something in a certain way, that the way they have adopted to move through those things, who's to say that that's not part of their life path and purpose? You are certainly not the expert on others' life path or purpose, as well as how they learn their lessons. So you might just say, well, you know what? I'm saving them from a lot of heartache, sorrow, and a lot of wasted time by correcting them so that they know I'm doing it out of love. I'm pointing it out so that they can live a better life, so they cannot repeat the same mistakes that I made, so that they can learn quicker the things that it took me such a long time to learn. So in essence, I'm helping them. I'm helping them to learn this stuff. And obviously, if someone comes to you, especially your twin flame, if someone comes to you and seeks your opinion on something, then by all means, you've been addressed with a question of, may I have your advice or opinion on such and such thing? However, if they have not done that, if the people in your life, your twin flame, have not come up to you directly and said, okay, here's an essay I wrote for school. Would you mind proofreading it for me and just seeing if there are some changes that I might need to make? Then obviously you've been given that work to do. You've been given that opportunity to correct someone, and hopefully in a constructive manner. But if you are looking at the way your twin is living their life, or if you are looking at the way anybody else in your circle is living their life or doing things in a certain way, it could even be something as silly as like doing the dishes. And we're talking about adults here. Now, of course, if you have children in your care and you are not being careful to give guidance or overstep your boundaries into getting into that more controlling behavior of this is the way we do things and this is the correct way we do things, then maybe the ego really is taking over in many aspects of your life and not just parenting, for example. But I'm talking more about other adults in your life, whether it be siblings, brothers and sisters, friends, parents, and of course your twin flame. I'm talking more about seeing things through the lens of, I know the right way to do things and I know things that are the better way and you don't. Therefore, it's my job to correct you. We all do it to some extent at some point, some of us more than others. And it's more about, it really does go back to control because the ego really wants to control. So by finding fault with others and by saying, you know, your life would be a lot easier if you loaded up the dishwasher this way. That is the best way to do it. Well, what is it in reality? In reality, is it the best way to do it, or is it the way that you see that is the best way to do it? Because there could be 100 different ways to load up a dishwasher. Your way may not be the best way. It might be a better way among the 100 different ways, but maybe according to 100 different people, it's not the best way. And it goes for so many things. I mean, one of the things that kind of makes me chuckle is being on this social media platform, YouTube, is that all of a sudden my viewers become experts, not all, but a lot of them become experts on how to be a YouTuber. And they, for the most part, are not YouTubers themselves. It's kind of like interesting to see that certain comments that come my way as being a YouTuber, and you can really see who is rooted in their ego by the comments that come through when they are trying to correct my behavior, my look, my voice, my format, the words I say, everything. They try to come in and correct all of that because they believe that their way is better than my way. And it's just, it makes me laugh a little bit because I'm like, that's really interesting. It's interesting because there are very successful YouTubers out there who don't follow any protocol at all. Like, they are just themselves and they are super duper successful. That's just one example. If you really find the need to go around the world and start correcting things or trying to correct things or give helpful suggestions when it's not solicited, when it's not asked for, then that really is one indication that you're still caught up in ego. Number 3, you get impatient or frustrated often. This is a huge one, twin flames. Now, this personally is one that I have battled with my entire life. Getting impatient or getting frustrated. Those are biggies for me. And really, those are huge indications of ego is still ruling the roost. Now, for me with those, and I'm telling you right now what my weaknesses were growing up. Now, for me personally, those things have gotten a lot better. It's been a struggle and it's been a lot of work. And I've really had to keep my ego in check, so to speak, with impatience and frustration. Now, it's interesting because the impatience and frustration hasn't so much been with raising children, for example. That's been really easy for me in the sense of having infinite patience and just allowing my children to be who they are as human beings and allow them to develop and grow to be who they are as human beings. For me, the impatience and frustration has been more with people that have a tendency to push my buttons, and they often come disguised as family members, they come disguised as boyfriends or girlfriends or spouses, significant others, whatever you want to say. And sometimes friends, but not so often. They usually come with the people that are closest to me and that have the most emotional investment in my life and vice versa. That has been an ongoing issue and really a work in progress. Now, I'm proud to say impatience and frustration is not ruling my life anymore in those arenas, but it still creeps up and it kind of shows its ugly head every once in a while. Now, with your twin flame situation, if you have found yourself getting caught up in timelines and getting really frustrated and impatient, and because of this building frustration and impatience within yourself, and it's created a lot of obstacles in your life. For example, when you think about your twin flame and you're like, well, they haven't contacted me in a number of days, and if they don't contact me, then I'm just going to go out and date someone else because I've had it now. That is showing impatience and frustration. Or if you give your twin flame an ultimatum based on a specific timeline, based on, well, you haven't come back to me by this day, but if you really don't come back to me by this day, then it's over forever and ever, amen. Things like that. You really need to think about your own impatience and frustration, not only when it comes to your twin flame. Of course, your twin flame relationship is very important, but it's also a reflection of your psyche and all other relationships in your life. So if you don't have those ego traits really kept at a minimum in all of the other relationships in your life and just things in your life as well, then you're not prepared for this divine journey where the spirit, your higher self, is supposed to rule over the ego and not vice versa. When you find yourself really getting impatient and frustrated a lot, that's an indication that you can't control your circumstances. And again, it really goes back to that idea of control, which is the ego. We all know that. So really take that as a checkpoint, is how often do I get impatient or frustrated? Number 4, you are still worried about what other people think. Oh boy, this is a huge one, guys. This actually could be an entire video all by itself. The ego is really rooted in what will other people think. Spirit says it doesn't matter what other people think about anything. What really matters is, am I a servant to God? Am I a servant to a higher being? Whether you don't want to call your higher being God, that is okay. But when we are talking about our spiritual self, we're talking about serving a higher purpose, serving a higher being. And therefore, if you're serving a higher being, it shouldn't matter what other people think. You could have literally 1,000 different people. They could all have 1,000 different opinions on you, your life, your looks, your situations, your circumstances. There's no way you could possibly make everyone happy. There's no way you could possibly please everyone, nor would you want to, because then you're not being true to yourself and you're not being yourself. Now, I know this is a sticky wicket for a lot of you out there who live in different cultures, countries, religions, and social norms. I understand this, and I know this because many of you have written to me. Many of you have written to me from various cultures around the world, countries, religious backgrounds, and social ideologies. I totally get it. I get that it's very difficult to overcome these social constructs, and that for some of you, you may even be disowned by a family for being with your twin flame, or you may be the scorn of society, or you may even have to leave your country, literally. And yes, while all those things are very difficult, it's not like those things haven't been done before. Meaning, who are you living for? Who are you living for? I think you really need to get clear on that. And I'm going to actually produce a video on that. And subscribe to my channel below if you haven't yet subscribed, so you can get notifications of when that video does come out. But really, honestly, twin flame, who are you living for? Are you living for your ego? Are you living for other people? Or are you living for a higher purpose, higher self? Are you living for God? And if you are still so concerned and so worried about what will other people think about anything in your life, again, this is a twin flame video, but you got to know that your reflection onto your twin flame and the situation also has to do with your reflection on every other relationship in your life. So if it's reflecting big and deep into that relationship and you're like, well, I can't be with my twin flame because my family would disown me, or it would go against my religion, or I might get kicked out of my country because nobody in our country would accept us, then it's time to really reevaluate who you are actually living for. Number 5, you believe you are solely responsible for making change happen. Twin flame, this is what I call you're playing master of the whole universe. Now, the ego loves this. The ego loves to play I'm the master of the universe. And it disguises it. It's so odd and bizarre. It disguises it as something very humble. It disguises itself as I'm just serving the world and trying to make the world a better place. And that's why it looks so deceptive. It looks like it's doing a good thing, but in reality, it's just serving itself. So be super duper 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 careful. So this happens, for example, twin flame, when you have done a lot of your personal work on this twin flame journey, you've gone through the checklist. You're saying, well, I've improved my body. So let's go to physical body first. I've improved my body. I've been dieting, exercising, eating well. I've been sober and clean. I've been going to therapy, getting my emotional life all sorted out. I've been doing all these healings. So I've been doing Reiki healing and past life regression, and I have crystals all over the house. I've been healing my environment, getting rid of clutter. I've been getting rid of the toxic friends and family, and I've been learning to talk nicer to people. And you're going through the whole entire list. And then you're like, well, where's the twin flame? Where's my twin flame? Why isn't my twin flame back yet? I must need to change about 56 other things before my twin flame comes back to me. You know you're thinking this. And you know you're laughing because you know I'm right about this. And that's an ego thing too, right? No, I don't need to be right. I'm just trying to help you to understand that this is what we all go through on this journey. We all go through this. We all go through this. If I do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, then of course my twin's going to come back to me because I've done all my work. I've done all my homework. I've done everything. And then think about all of those times that you apply that to other aspects of your life too, where, for example, maybe there was a relationship in your past that was super toxic and you knew it was toxic. You absolutely positively knew it was toxic. From the beginning, you knew it was toxic, but you fell for this person, you fell in love with this person, and therefore being in love with this person, but simultaneously knowing it was toxic, you said, well, you know what? I can change this situation. So you went about doing all sorts of work, trying to make the relationship work for years, maybe for decades. And the relationship never really worked. And you were like, well, I did everything. Why isn't it working? Well, it's because you're still stuck in the notion that you are the master of the entire universe, that if you don't make all the changes and try to make changes, then the universe is not going to hold itself together. And that is not the way the system works. The system works that you are a co-creator with God. Now, I'm doing a whole entire video series on that, and I've started it. It's called The Power to Manifest, or Your Power to Manifest. And that's the whole idea. The whole idea is you are a co-creator with God. Live your life on purpose. You are a co-creator of your own destiny. Live your life on purpose. You're a co-creator, like a co-pilot. Co meaning two, meaning there is one of you and then there's another person. You are not solely in charge of the whole universe. And it's when we get into this mindset that I know better and I know how to change things and make changes happen. And if they don't happen, then that must mean it's either my fault, it's somebody else's fault, or I need to do a whole list of other things in order to make these changes happen. Co-creation means that you are being proactive, because when you want to see changes happen and make changes happen, of course you need to take action. You're not just going to sit back on your butt and meditate. Well, that can work for certain things. It's not going to work for other things. If you say, I want to write a book one day, and you sit in meditation for 24 hours, the book is not going to write itself. It might come as a channeled message to you, but you actually have to get out your computer and start typing. Same thing with manifesting anything or making changes for anything. It's that you need to be a co-creator with your creator in order to make it happen, and you are not alone or in isolation to actually making these things happen. And if something doesn't happen according to your plan, it's because God didn't want it to happen, or the timing was wrong. When you're still caught up in on this wheel, I call it like the hamster wheel or the merry-go-round even. When you're caught up in this hamster wheel thinking, I've got to do this in order for this to happen. I've got to do this in order for this to happen. And you're like incessantly in this panic mode because you're really feeling on the core level that if things are not changing, it's because something you did do or that you didn't do. It's that you're still caught up in that ego consciousness of, I need to run the whole universe. And the job to run the whole universe was never given to you. Therefore, how could that be your job? So part of you needs to go, wait, I can put in the time, the hours, the effort to make changes happen. And then the rest of it, I just have to surrender. I have to surrender to the higher power that created me in order to let go and let God. I mean, really, that's the phrase, that's the adage, to let go and let God. And then your life will run so much smoother. And it's just like, have you ever really tried to have an idea for a creative project, or maybe a project at school or at work, and when you're really working on it, when you're trying so hard to work on it, no ideas come to you. And then when you go home and start doing the laundry, cleaning the kitchen, taking a shower, all of a sudden all these ideas come to you, but you're not doing anything. You're just doing menial tasks. And it's because you're letting go. You're not trying to control the whole universe. And when you let go, then those creative ideas start to come to you, hence the secret. As you go through this list of the 5 signs that you're still caught up in ego, it's time to get really honest with yourself. Get honest with yourself about which one of these is still really ruling my life. Therefore, which one of these is allowing my ego to rule my life and rule the roost and rule my twin flame connection. And because these certain traits are still ruling my life and ruling my connection with my twin flame, I can pinpoint where I might still be scaring them away with my own ego behavior. It's really with my own ego behavior. Now, it's not the entire story, twin flame. That's not the entire story. It's not if you overrule these 5 signs, smash the ego, live in your higher self, that your twin flame is going to come running back to you. That's still ego thinking that. But it does mean that you are further along on your journey so that you are learning the lessons required to not let the ego rule the roost. And of course, it takes practice. It's not happening overnight, because for the most part, for most of you, for most of your life, just like myself, there have been certain aspects of ego that have been running the show. And the more you practice not letting the ego run the show, it's going to get stronger, meaning your spiritual self, your higher self, is going to get stronger. And it doesn't mean that the ego isn't going to try anymore, because that ego can be so darn pesky and persistent. So it's going to take some time. So I hope this helped, twin flame. I am back for the year 2020, posting a couple of twin flame videos per week. If inspiration strikes me, maybe 1 more per week, but it's generally going to be about 2 twin flame videos a week. And then 2 on the power to manifest, which I would highly recommend that you follow as well, because the power to manifest is a lot about sitting in that spiritual self power. And it's about not sitting in ego power, the higher spiritual self power. So the power to manifest is not only about your higher spiritual self, but it's about carrying that out in every aspect of your life. So thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for subscribing to my channel below. Hit the bell for notifications, give the video a thumbs up. Thank you for sharing this video with other twin flames. And thank you so much for supporting this YouTube channel. You can buy a book or 2 or 3. You can also pledge your support on Patreon. We have our private party podcast every single month, where I go in depth with a lot more material that I can't do on YouTube, as well as Q&A and a mini reading for a pledge of $10 or more a month. www.patreon.com/Michelle S. Fondin. And I will see you in the next video.